You're watching Hello Nation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hello Nation podcast, your voice of good news. I'm Prescott Rossi, and joining us as part of our Hello Insurance series is locally and nationally recognized insurance experts Brandon C. Clarke, CIC President of John Bailey Company, and Jake Smith, Director of Member Services for Big I, Tennessee. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you. Great to be here, Prescott. Thanks.
Now, being the voices of good news, we like to start each episode by asking our guests to share their own good news. So, Brandon, Jake, please tell us a little bit about yourself and some good news that you two have recently experienced.
Well, I'm really excited because my daughter is graduating from high school. So we're doing all the things graduation right now, and it's all hands on deck. It's been fantastic. And I'm happy to be here with Jake and support the Insurors of Tennessee as an active member.
And Jake, how about you?
Well, I don't have kids close to graduation yet, but our son turned 3 years old this week, so that was a big
The big three.
Yeah. We've been told to prepare for the three-nager phase with the little one. Outside of personal stuff, I live here in Nashville, and I learned also this week that Nashville is hosting the Super Bowl in 2030. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, really excited about that. Hopefully, Buffalo Bills, if not the Bills, the Tennessee Titans, that would be awesome to just see them in the Super Bowl in their own home stadium. I like Cam Ward, so we'll watch that space. But that's for another day. As part of our Hello Insurance series, we want to recognize you both as voices within the independent insurance industry and talk through how insurance can be better understood, how agents are navigating change, and how associations like Big I, Tennessee help keep independent agents connected, informed, and prepared. So we have a few questions we're going to ask. We want to, tell us a little bit more about this industry, but also let's try to shed some of the misconceptions. Everybody deals with insurance, but maybe not everybody knows exactly how it works, the ins and outs of the industry. So I'll start, Brandon, with this question for you. Insurance can have a tough reputation. Why do you think people often view it negatively, and what part of the story gets missed?
Yeah, well, we'll start on the negative side. So to the consumer, insurance is a terrible product, right? Like it's terrible it's terrible to buy and purchase, and it's terrible to use, right? So that's why you have an independent agent. Like that's the positive side is, hey, we provide help. I think too, like the industry is known for just being very salesy. I think that's kind of taken a change. I think we're more on, more thoughtful about trying to help clients out, and there's more care in the industry than there ever has been. So, those are things like we always joke. We're like, yeah, if you're at a party and someone asks what you do, you say insurance, and all of a sudden they turn and walk away, right? I think the reality is, as an insurance agent, you're not necessarily always trying to sell somebody on something. You're honestly there for thoughtful feedback and trying to take care of people.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of insurance, too. So when you talk about finding the good news in insurance, we'll switch it to the other side. What does that mean in practical terms for consumers, agencies, and communities? And this for either one of you two.
The tough process to sell it and for the customer to buy it, all that gets forgotten about when the insurance product does its job and the independent agent is that trusted source to help them through that process. I was at a industry event about 2 years ago now, and I wish I could attribute this phrase to the gentleman who shared it, but it was an agent speaking to a group of agents, and he said, the independent agent is like a financial first responder. And hearing that's a very easy to understand phrase. There's things happening in the back end, though, on the financial side, and you don't really know who those people are until you really look at who they are. And our association is a collection of folks who are doing just that. And I think it's amazing that you're giving us the space, especially with Brandon here, who is an independent agent, to speak about these things. So all that to say, I love seeing people get helped by our members and then seeing the product do the job that it's supposed to do.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. And yeah, Brandon, obviously don't want to be too specific, but are there a certain instances or moments that stand out in your years in the insurance industry where you very fulfilling?
Yeah, we had a major storm come through several years ago. We had 900 claims in our office in one day. Okay. So community events, very large, right? You had windstorm, hail, a lot of things. You have cars that are damaged, buildings that are damaged, right? Like some people lost things. So the industry as a whole did a great job. And I'm not talking about just our insurance carriers. I'm talking about all of them, everyone coming together in that time. So that's one. One of the other special times for me was had a friend who passed away, and they had a life insurance policy, and you can imagine the shock and grief that's there, and living in the future. How are these people going to do it, right? As terrible as it was a rewarding experience for our agency to be able to help and hand over a check that would help them, through the rough times and into those years forward. So, those stories aren't talked enough about. Everyone thinks that you just get a quote for insurance in 10 to 15 minutes and the bank usually, makes you get it, or some vendor, right? Because you can't operate without insurance. But there is a very human element to the side of the business that has nothing to do with selling and all about, caring for others.
And you mentioned rates and people paying for insurance. Jake, what do consumers often misunderstand about how the insurance industry and the insurance market works, especially when rates or coverage options change?
Yeah, I think some of the misconceptions are, I'm paying for this thing often on an annual basis, and I may not have to ever use it. I haven't had a claim come up in a while. I myself have gone through a substantial season of my life where a claim has never arisen. But as Brandon said, you don't really think about it until it happens. And so for the consumer, I would say when you're talking with an independent agent, they're not selling you a piece of paper. They're selling you peace of mind that if something happens or when something happens to your valuables, or if it's a life insurance situation, you can sleep easy knowing that you or your loved ones or your assets will be brought back to where you were before. I'll say this. I grew up under a family that had people in the industry. So I got the dinner table talks when I was a young kid. I didn't understand really what they were saying or why it was important because I didn't own anything. I didn't have any assets of my own. But as an adult now, I'm looking at that and I'm going, yeah, bad things do happen. We can't control all of these things. And I tell my wife all the time, honey, like I sleep easy because I know that if something happens to us, we'll be okay. Or if something happens to me, you and the kids will be okay because I've worked that through with our insurance agent that we have. And I understand the policy that we have for our home, for our auto, and again, for life insurance. It's just bringing that all to center and kind of cutting through the practical aspect of it. That's not something the average consumer is always thinking about.
Sure. What role does an independent insurance agent play when people are trying to make sense of a complicated market?
Yeah, well, the independent insurance agent is totally different than what we call a captive insurance agent. So a captive would be somebody that kind of almost has like a, dumbed down, let's call it a franchise agreement, right? You're the local rep for this one specific insurance company in town. And maybe there's a couple of them that are all positioned throughout that city. But what we do is we are independent insurance agents, meaning we are independent business owners, family owned most of the time. We have a lot of different insurance companies that offer products. Some of them are commercial, meaning businesses, and some of them are personal, meaning homes and autos and umbrellas and all those sorts of things. So we have several different options as independent insurance agents, and those options help us to custom tailor an insurance policy using those different insurance companies to our clients. We're a one-stop shop for many different insurance options. We're not a stop for one company. And we work with the Insurors of Tennessee, or the Big I of Tennessee. And so Jake and us work together because he puts me in touch with industry leaders and other insurance agencies inside Tennessee, so we can talk shop, support each other, learn more, and kind of just have a friend in the industry to move forward with.
And you two brought up something interesting earlier, and I wanted to go back to that for a second. To have that independent insurer, it puts a face to a policy for whatever aspect of insurance that someone is looking for. And so, what is the value that you guys find in being able to be Brandon, to be Jake, or whomever, for a customer that is looking for insurance, whether health, auto, life, what have you? What is the value that they have in knowing you guys personally?
Let's go to like the Donald Miller story brand, right? So there's a hero of the story, right? And that's going to be the client. There's some form of villain. There's a problem that needs to be solved, right? Well, we're the guide, okay? So we're trying to guide the hero through the story, trying to protect him from the villain and all the bad things that happen. And as an independent insurance agent, we are boots on the ground in the community. There's a pretty good amount of us out here, right? Like there's a lot of us throughout the state of Tennessee as well. We're independents, right? Like we get to structure ourselves and our companies and all those things. And we really, at least in our office and many of the other ones that are with the Big I, I mean, our job is to guide the client locally through all of the decisions. And ultimately, when there is a claim, we want to, help guide them through that so that they win, right? Like we love to see people win. We love to see people grow. And that's a big part of what we do here. Jake's got a totally different role in helping the independent insurance agent out, and I'll let him speak to that right now.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. As you alluded to, one of the unique things about what we do as an association, and part of my role is helping our agents connect with insurance carriers and companies, and even some of the specialty brokers, because as someone who purchases my insurance through an independent agent, anytime rates have changed and we've had to shop our policies, I don't have to leave my agency. I don't have to go find a new agent to purchase from, because my agent and his customer service team are able to quote me on a number of carriers that they already have in their back pocket. And I've done that in just a handful of email exchanges before. I mean, these service teams at these agencies are equipped to make it as efficient, and on the personal line side, it's been very easy for me to have those things done. And I know a little bit of lingo to ask my customer service rep, but at the same time too, I've been able to do a lot with my agent without ever having to step foot in their office, if you can believe it. They're not even in the same city I live in, but their level of service by being an independent agent has helped me as a customer and not have to really work too hard to get things handled for what I'm looking to do with shopping my policies.
The more you know.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, this next question is for you. A lot of people feel like they can get insurance handled in 10 to 15 minutes online. What can get lost when someone goes direct to consumer instead of having a personal agent who knows them and can help when a claim actually happens?
Yeah, I think what we tend to talk about in our office is we ask a lot of questions, right? We just peel back the layers and we're like, tell me your history, tell me how you got here. Insurance is a very complicated product, right? Even a simple auto policy can be complex. And what we do find is we find people who do it themselves, a lot of times do it incorrectly. Now things like AI are pretty helpful, right? Like you can go in, ask some questions, figure it all out. I think really where we win is really finding out what that person's trying to accomplish, and then we custom tailor it. So like that takes time, right? Plus we're shopping in some cases like 10, 15 insurance carriers. So we're not taking one, we're not doing it online like necessarily. It doesn't take 10 to 15 minutes. It's literally a deep dive into their life, what they're trying to accomplish. And I think what you find a lot of times is you find somebody who's been successful. They just want somebody to take care of them, right? And they want to be able to call and have a service team. And then you have the other side that says I either A, want to do it by myself, or B, I have to do it by myself, right? Those are kind of two sides of the coin. And, you get different folks, like different strokes for different folks, right? That's how we work. We really are focused in on the individual and trying to, give them the best product we can.
And now taking a look from a more like a 40,000 foot view, Jake, what are some of the biggest challenges independent agencies are facing right now, and how can those challenges create opportunities?
One of the recent challenges we've seen over the past few years has been the market conditions in Tennessee. It's been national, but in Tennessee, every state's got a little bit of a different market outlook. But what that's done is it's made our agents be more creative and the companies be more creative about how they're conducting business. I've seen quite a number of our members get together with carriers who they may have not worked with before, or they've looked at opportunities to increase their service model or how they handle customer relationships, because inevitably when a rate goes up, it goes up. And there's a lot of factors behind that. So when Brandon gets a call from a customer who's not thrilled about that rate going up, it gives him the chance to go, okay, how can we look at this customer a little differently? How can we train our team to handle a conversation differently? We've been able to bring some pretty interesting industry speakers who have spoken at some of our events for our members who have gone through exactly those types of exercises with them. And it's pretty remarkable to see what all they're doing and the innovation that's coming through to help the customer. Because again, it is that face, it's that voice, and you want that face and that voice to be well equipped to handle those customers when they have those situations, so that the long-term trust continues to go through.
Gotcha. So, Brandon, when agencies are dealing with market shifts, staffing pressure, changing client expectations, what role can an association like Big I Tennessee play in helping them stay informed, connected, and prepared?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the biggest reasons we're a member of the Big I. We really value collaboration, right? So when we're with the Big I, we've got connection. I can call Jake and say, hey, we're having staffing issues. I'm having a hard time finding someone that can do X. And he'll say, hey, I've got a couple of people that you might want to talk to. Maybe it's a headhunter. Maybe it's AI, and maybe they're doing it in a different segment, right? But he's like, hey, like you might want to talk to them because they have been successful, right? So we kind of use them to kind of put the pieces together, right? It's a very relationship business. Our business on every side of the table, whether it's the client or management, is very, very relationship driven. And we're just thankful to have, the Big I of Tennessee. And they not only they've got products to sell us, they've got vendors we can speak to. As long as you keep putting in, you'll get something out of it, right?
Yeah, sounds like a tremendous resource. Jake, from the association side, how does member support and communication help independent agencies feel less like they're navigating these challenges alone?
Well, that's a great phrase. We don't want them to feel like they're having to do it alone. Not every independent agency is a member of the Big I across the country, but the ones who are, I can speak to you and say that they are keeping their thumb on the industry through us, and we are able to look at trends, look at insights, if that's sourcing content that experts are putting out there, helping it get to them in an efficient way. We do email updates with them. Our events, we host a lot of industry topics and things of that nature. And even what's growing in our event space is putting agents at roundtables to discuss topics. It's the rise in the podcast world and what we're doing today. I listen to so many podcasts myself about some of my hobbies and interests, and I'm in the car and I want to talk back to the folks that are on the podcast because I have an idea that goes what they're talking about, but then I realize this is a one-way medium. So we have a lot of folks who are itching to just be heard or ask questions and listen to each other. So we love seeing folks get more involved with the association. We know that it brings a ton of value for them. Connecting with your peers, no matter who you are, I would tell anybody, whatever industry you're in, look for the trade association or associations in that industry. Sign up, look at what the member fees are. It's probably not crazy to buy into it. and then go surround yourself with your peers. I've watched members of ours from different parts of the state get to know each other, and they're talking business. They're throwing accounts to each other because their agency may not write it, but they've got a friend over in different part of the state who does, and they're making friendships that'll last beyond their career time. So it's an amazing thing to see folks do that, so that they don't feel like they're doing it by themselves, and they don't feel like when the time comes for their career to come to an end, they're looking around going, I worked really hard, I did a lot of good things, but I've got no one to really ask about retirement or ask about perpetuation. And there's tons of folks I could be connected to talk about those types of things as well.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, your network is your net worth, and it's like, oh, geez, I wonder if I should go down to the Big I conference down in Tennessee. So let's transition now into the next part of the show. We're going to call this the coverage clarity check for the insurance industry. Let's talk about some common areas where consumers may get confused, and you two can help explain what people should really pay attention to. So. So I'll say a short little prompt, and you guys can, kind of go off of that and either, say what's true and maybe what's not so true. So the first one, a declarations page. When someone receives their insurance policy, one of the first pages they may see is the declarations page. What should they be looking for, and why is it important to not just file it away?
A deck page is an important page for every single insurance agent, because we look at it, and of course it has the coverage amounts, it has the premiums, kind of lists, it has the effective date, right? Which is an important one for an agent, because they're like, hey, let's look at this and see where to begin. As a client, right, this is your first page of the policy, right? So you got all this stuff in the back, right? But this is the first page. It's where you start. It's kind of, it's almost like the title page essentially. And it's going to say, hey, here's your effective date. We're this insurance company. Here's the premium. Here's the coverages. And then you got to read all this stuff in the back, right? But it kind of just gives you the lay of the land. It's the very first step.
As we move on here in the coverage clarity check, the Triple C, full coverage. A lot of people use the phrase full coverage. What could be misleading about that term?
I mean, I probably can't address it as best as you can. I think the listeners are getting a great insight to what it feels like to talk to an independent agent as Brandon explains these. So, Brandon, this is all you, my buddy.
I should be jotting these down.
All right, so that's a scary word for an insurance agency. Like if someone's like, oh, I've got full coverage. What does that mean? What does full coverage mean? That means everything's included, right? There are some agencies out there that say that. To us, that's an errors and omissions issue. We never say you've had full coverage. You have these coverages. And by the way, we think you should also look at these coverages. But there is not a full coverage in our office. We don't offer that, right? Nobody does.
Yeah. Jake, to get you involved, independent agent value. Before we get into the benefits, what is an independent agent, and how can working with one help someone better understand what is actually in their policy?
Yeah, no, I kind of touched on it earlier, but an independent agent is able to represent multiple insurance companies and carriers. And so an independent agent can, they're trained on those companies' products. So they have what I like to think is a wider variety of understanding of these policies and products. And they can really be more customized. The covers aren't customized. What I'm saying is the agent can look at you and go, we can figure something out for you. And then, like I said earlier, again, when the time comes to shop the policy or make changes, but yeah, that value is, you're putting your money into something that you need to have to have in many ways. And with an independent agent, they understand that. They are insurance customers themselves. And the value will come through the relationship you spend with them and through the opportunities they have to serve you.
Yeah, and it's funny you put it that way because, we're in this together. So the next prompt, online research and AI. People are using online and AI tools more often to answer insurance questions. Where can those tools fall short, and why does real insurance expertise still matter?
Such a good question. Look, it's really good. I'm not going to lie. We use it sometimes, right? Like all agencies are starting to use it. I think I love to read the policies. I love the backside of the policies because that's where all the meat is a lot of times, most of the time. So, I think my team here, like we do and will use some AI things, usually for keystrokes, but there are still holes in AI a little bit when it comes to coverage parts. It doesn't replace the actual knowledge that sometimes a client and a insurance agent would have, right? Like I think the client is going to be able to understand their policy better because of AI. I don't think that it is going to take away from the craft of the business. I do think it will be easier to train people inside an insurance agency on a lot quicker on insurance policies, verbiage, language, and how things work.
And
But
Jake,
it's a game changer. It's
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. I see it in my industry, and I'm sure in every industry. Jake, from an association side, like how is AI impacting what you do and what your association does, on a daily and yearly level?
Yeah, Prescott, I mean, we anticipate it's already happening, but we anticipate it to continue and even rise as, the average consumer is going to hop on whatever AI tool they like, whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or countless others, and ask it, hey, how do I buy insurance? I mean, that's going to come up for people. We want to set ourselves up as a resource for the general public as well, so that when the answer engine optimization factor comes into play, one of those tools is telling you, hey, you have options to go purchase insurance. There is a thing called independent agents. Here's how they work. And ideally it's pulling from our websites, but both at our national association level, but at our state level, and explaining to that person, this is a way you can go do it. And then from then converting that into a real lead for our members. And we have something through the Big I that's going to be a revamped service for our members that's going to help the consumer find our members with the types of products they sell and the areas in which they sell it to get them faster connected to agents like Brandon.
Yeah, and AI is definitely not going away either. So we'll wrap up the coverage clarity check segment. One last one: what to ask your agent if someone wants to better understand their coverage and feel more prepared before they even need to file a claim. What should they ask their agent, and why does having an expert by their side matter?
If I was in somebody's shoes and I'm shopping for insurance, here's what the things I would ask. I would make a list of all the things that A, scare me, B, make me angry, and C, I don't understand, right? And I would sit down with my agent and say, hey, these are the things that I want to understand. These are the things that scare me. These are the things that could ultimately hurt my business or my family that I want to make sure that we bounce back from. And you go after those. And it could be different, right? I mean, your home and auto is different than your business. And I mean, there's countless other, policies and scary things to talk about.
Yeah, and and Jake, I from your side, from what you see, why does having an expert, by your side when it comes to insurance, why does that matter?
It matters because we want to know people who know things. We can tell when we're talking to somebody and they know what they're talking about. Brandon, as a licensed insurance professional, insurance producer, is required by the state of Tennessee to obtain a number of hours of continuing education. And so he has sat through countless, hundreds, if not thousands of hours required to stay current on the industry. And if I'm a consumer, going back to your previous question, Brandon, what would I ask my agent? One of the first things I'm going to ask is, hey, are you a member of the Big I Tennessee? If they are a member, I can tell you right now, you've got someone who's working for you that's connected to a huge network of independent agents across Tennessee, but also across the country, that is being advocated for their best business interests through the legislative advocacy we do. They're equipped with a lot of education resources, and then they're talking to their peers about trends and new things happening in the industry. So it's just an added bonus if that's what your agent is choosing to do. And we want to promote that as best we can.
Absolutely. And this has been such a delight. I know we're running a little bit longer than we anticipated, but I mean, the meat in this conversation was so great. And as someone myself, I'm curious about this stuff, but there are lots of things I don't know. And to know that there are resources like you two out there, I mean, is just a huge help. So you heard it here first. From true voices in the independent insurance agency. Thank you so much for joining us, Brandon and Jake. And now if you're an independent agent, future insurance professional, or simply someone who wants to better understand the role insurance plays in your community, you can connect with Big I Tennessee for education, resources, and support across the independent agent system. And thank you, listeners, of course, for tuning into this one. I'm Prescott Ross, signing off with Brandon C. Clarke from John Bailey Company and Jake Smith from Big I Tennessee. This has been the Hello Nation podcast, where good news travels faster. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching Hello Nation.